Oh, hello, peoples. There we are. Let me pause that. And today we are going to be learning a Beefy song. Hopefully it's not going to take me as long as it did to learn the last song I learned on stream live. Let's look over here. So we're going to do some useful things today. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to tempo match to this song using Cubase. This is going to be for a No Fake Friday. Pay no attention to that synthesizer track there. Everything by the time I'm done will be all live instruments, and I believe we're going to do this as an acoustic remake. If you look here, we've got Game Store Girl, which is a Beefy song. I've turned it down a little bit just so that we can work within the confines of the digital realm. Let's call this. Now, when we start trying to line stuff up, working on something where it's a drum machine track makes life much easier. Let's take that. So we've got, we'll move this forwards. What I'm going to do, I'll move it forwards. First thing we want to do is turn off our sync. And we want to line this first beat up on a measure. Okay, so our first step is we need this to line up on that beat right there. So let's see what we got. There's the downbeat right there. So we need our downbeat to be right there. And let's get right in there microscopic like. So we need our downbeat. That looks like a nice clean hit. Looks like it starts right there. Digital drums are about the easiest thing to sync up because they're reliable and they're usually were recorded on a grid. Digital drums are, if we look there, about the easiest thing to sync up now because they're reliable. Keep in mind this doesn't have to be sample accurate at this point because I'm going to replace everything anyway. Now, so it's not a big deal. But it is good to know how to do this. So now I'm going to turn my sync. I'm going to replace everything. Actually, let me. It's not a big deal. Type something here. To know how to do this. So now I'm going to turn my sync. I'm going to replace everything. Actually, let me. It's not a big deal. Type something here. To know how to do this. So now I'm going to turn my sync. I'm going to replace everything. Actually, let me. It's not a big deal. Type something here. Okay, so we have that, and this is kind of an obvious step that you think, well, of course I've got to get the first beat on a measure. Now, why am I on measure 7? Because I got a bunch of measures back here. So we're going to ignore those because they didn't. They were before the drums. So we want to get lined up on a nice hard beat here. And if we look at starting right here, we let it play. Because they didn't. They were before. There's this girl I kind of know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem. Now what we've got to do is starting right here, we let it play. Turn our sync back on. There's this girl I kind of know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem. Now set that to line up right at the beginning of this measure. That doesn't matter now, but it will in a few minutes. So we've got that lined up on the beat. Once we've got everything mapped out to the tempo, then I'm going to extend this back and everything will stay on beat. That's an important thing to know. To the tempo, then I'm going to extend this back and everything will stay on beat. It looks like something is playing here. Then I'm going to extend this back and everything will stay on. It looks like something is. I don't know what that could possibly be. Is it? Oh gosh, is the Twitch repeating everything I say? Because of course it is. I totally hit pause on that and it didn't matter. All right. I'm probably going to clip this video and cut out the beginning of that. So today on our stream, I'm going to be learning a Beefy song. The first thing I'm doing is tempo matching it. The first thing we got to do when we're tempo matching is we need to line up. And to do that, we just zoom way in, we find a good drum hit, and we put it right on the downbeat of a measure. And you can see we've already done that. If it was off, I could drag it to the left or right, but that looks nice and solid. So we've got our downbeat lined up. Now we come back here. There's this girl I kind of know. Okay, so we turn our lock to grid snap. That's the word, snap. We turn our snap back on and come back over here. Now what we need to do is feed Cubase some information. It needs to know like what's a couple measures here. So I'm going to turn the select tool. Okay, I'm going to select nothing. And what I'll do is I'll just select, let's say, these 3 measures. Now, if I turn on the metronome, we'll hear that that's not lined up. Girl, I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a... I'm also going to... Okay, so that's not lined up to the beat at all yet. I'm changing this to fixed so that I don't have to... actually, I'm going to leave it on track. It's wrong, 120, but that doesn't matter. So what we want to do is find another beat. I'm going to try for 2 measures. So let's look here. Girl, I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females because she's hella hot and she smells. So right there, it looks like a great spot. So what we're going to do is drag this back here. And I notice I turned the snap back off. And I'm going to zoom way in on that. And let's see, is that his voice picking up ahead of time? Because zoom back out a little bit. So that right there looks like the downbeat for the drum. That waveform looks pretty solidly like it. Now, you see it snapping even though I've turned off snap. It's because I'm zoomed in super far. And it's just snapping to the nearest 0 crossing. When you're editing audio, if you have your DAW set to snap at 0 crossings, it will always make all of its cuts and edits when the waveforms are crossing over the 0 marker, over this 0 line right here. That way, when you join 2 of them together, they'll be seamless. You won't hear a click because it's not jumping from, say, down here to somewhere up here. Your old wave on your left is going to be at 0, and your wave on the right is going to be at 0. So now we need to go to Project, and we're going to click on Beat Calculator. So we did Project, Beat Calculator, and I'm going to tell it that that was 8 beats, and it looks like it's 102.01 BPM. Now, what do you want to bet it's just 120 or 102 BPM? So let's just change this. Instead of going, what we could do is we could insert that on the tempo track at the beginning of the song. And if you have something that wavers in tempo, that's what you would do. Then you'd take another sample and feed that information to Cubase, and then another sample, and you would just keep adding to the tempo track, syncing your way along. Now, I'm betting that it's really just 102 beats per measure, beats per minute even. 102 beats per measure. It'd be a long measure. A little sleepy today. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. If we start here, girl, I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females because she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions of PS3. I don't know, kinda cool, but I think that she's great. Trying to work up on my courage just to ask her on a date, but it's weird cause she's at work and she's run ass for a living. I don't wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain, so I step back and let the other dudes try, and I try to pretend that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm no. Now we can check ourselves by just going way towards the end and see if it's shifted or drifted off of the beat at all. Discount at the place. She buys me a soda pop. She gets all my interrupts and I never want this game to stop. and that was totally dead on the whole time. So it's as easy as that. Syncing up to something that's locked in is real easy. All you got to do is just take a sampling and tell Cubase how many beats are in that selection. Now, I talked earlier, I mentioned we're going to need to drag this back to get the beginning of the song. And because that right there is on, in fact, it doesn't even matter if I have snap turned on right now or not. And see how that's lined up right at the beginning of beat 3. And knowing that, I can just take this, cut it right there. Now, I could drag that to measure 1. Don't start on measure 1, kids. Always start on measure 2. Give yourself some lead in. Otherwise, you're going to cut off the beginning, whatever transient of the first thing that plays. I guarantee it will happen to you. So always start on measure 2. All right, so now that we've figured out that it's 102 beats per minute, I'm doing a rearrangement. Do I care about the original tempo? Should I change the tempo? I feel like I don't want to speed it up because he gets going kind of quick. And I don't want to slow it down. So with a rap song, it's a little different than something sung. I mean, you still have the same problems with sung things where you have melodies. But with something that's rapped at a specific tempo, a lot of times there's a range you can move the tempo up and down, but maybe not as radically as you can get away with if something's sung. You can always take something that's a melody and kind of change that melody, but I feel like with a rap song, I don't want to change it too much. And I like the groove that he does with his vocals.
Girl, I kinda know, got a name tag in pigtails. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females because she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions to PS3. I don't know, kinda cool, but I think that she's great. Trying to work up on my courage just to ask her.
So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put a fake bass in here, and I'm gonna delete it later. The idea here is I just want to get the chords down, and that bass line is real prominent. So is that good and loud? That's at least louder than my voice, right? That's good. So the bass line's so prominent, I'm gonna grab that and then I'm gonna do it with a real bass. Then I'm going to add guitars, and I'm going to add shaker, and probably kick and snare. I'm not going to make it super thick. It's going to be kind of a little bit minimal arrangement. And I'm not going to do all of it today because we're doing some other things later with the Grammar Club. So I'm going to have to hop off before I will be done with all of this. So I'm going to be working on it again tomorrow, and I may stream again tomorrow. So we'll find out where we go.
There's this girl I kind of...
So this might, we're in B flat. I don't like that bass with the chorus. Perfect. I just need something to give me the notes. I should have loaded like a Moog or something where I could just have a square wave, but we're in B flat. A flat. Okay, that's going to be just the intro. And I am going to write some chords down here. I even brought a handy dandy notepad today, unlike previous expeditions of this sort. So the intro is B flat, and I'm guessing that's B flat minor 7, A flat. Then we want G flat, then F. We'll worry about major and minor and all that later. Right now I'm just concerned with the bass line. So now I'm gonna let's get over here to the verses.
Girl, I kinda know, got a name tag in pigtails. She doesn't seem to know that she's... kinda know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females because she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions to PS3. I don't know, kinda cool.
Goes down to the E flat. And go F, F, A. So if you want to know the chords for Game Store Girl, you're gonna get to learn them today. This is a common tactic to, you have your, it's almost a circle progression, but we change. So we go root, then we go to the 4, then we go to the 6, and then we go down to the 5, but we don't sit on the 5. We go 5, 7 to get back to the 1. So let's change this to 8th notes, 16th notes actually, and we'll record this.
There's this girl I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females.
What's our tempo? 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 5. Yeah.
There's this girl I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females because she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions to PS3. I don't know, kinda cool, but I think that she's great. Trying to work up on my courage just to ask her on a date, but it's weird cause she's at work and she's real nice for a living. I don't wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain.
Changes there. Okay, so let's get into this. I didn't play that note. That's not there. That doesn't exist. No, we're gonna turn off step record.
Cause she's at work and she's real nice for a living. I don't wanna be a
straight to A.
Cause she's at work and she's real nice for a living. I don't wanna be a douchebag like
no. Okay, let's hear that note. Little trick. Do that. And can we turn on? Can't do it from here. That's okay.
Wanna be a wanna be wanna be a 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 wanna be.
Okay, A flat.
Wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain, so why?
Does it go up or was that just me?
Wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain, so why? Step.
Ba-doo-da.
So why? A real life supervillain, so a real life supervillain, so why? A real life supervillain, so why?
4 and bump.
So why? Step. So why?
Bum.
Wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain, so why? Step back.
There we go. Okay, so that's our bass line for that part. Now, shrink that. Okay. We have this here. We take that. And I'll bet I can safely, I say safely, use that term loosely.
Step back and let the other dudes try. And I try to pretend that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm knowing better, so I hide in the back and try to formulate a plan like I'm both Wiki and Zach. Should I?
Did I hit that late?
Step back and let the other dudes try. And I try to pretend that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm knowing better, so I hide in the back and try to formulate a plan like I'm both Wiki and Zach. Should I go up and tell her I'm a legend on the internet?
Okay, I'm going to change the groove so it doesn't matter. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have the wrong note.
Go up and tell her I'm a legend on the internet. Give her a name she won't forget, and I don't even know her yet. I'm not feeling stealthy, matter of fact, I'm feeling weak.
This low one, though.
Try to pretend that I'm not the her a name she won't forget, and I don't. Try to pretend that I'm not. Try to pretend that I'm not the
16ths. Bam.
Try to pretend that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm knowing better, so I hide in the back and try to formulate a plan like I'm both Wiki and Zach. Should I go up and tell her I'm a legend on the internet? Knowing better, so I
Is that right?
Knowing better. Knowing better. Knowing better. Knowing better. Knowing better. So. Knowing better. So. Knowing better, so I hide in the back and try to formulate a plan like I'm with Wiki and Zach. Should I go up and tell her I'm a legend on the internet? Give her a name she won't forget, and I don't even know her yet. Knowing better.
Oh, don't be like that, Cubase. Come back here.
Doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females. To ask her on a date. Her on a date, but it's weird cause she's at work and she's real nice for a living. I don't wanna be a douchebag like a real life super. Trying to pretend that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm knowing better, so I hide in the back and try to formulate a plan like I'm with Wiki and Zach. Should I go up and tell her I'm a legend on the internet? Give her a name she won't forget, and I don't even know her yet. I'm not feeling stealthy, matter of fact I'm feeling weak, cause I think I got no shot, but she's shooting me a wink. Game store girl.
Okay, so now we're on our next section. So our verses. Let's write these chords down. Got Cubase does not do flats. It's real irritating, just so you know. B flat, E flat, G flat. So it's, then we do F. Probably F7. We'll write F over A. What's F over A? Well, it's an F chord with an A in the bass.
Trying to pretend that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm knowing better, so I hide in the back and try to formulate a plan like I'm with Wiki and Zach. Should I go up and tell her I'm a legend on the internet? Give her a name she won't forget, and I don't even know her yet. I'm not feeling stealthy, matter of fact I'm feeling weak, cause I think I got no shot, but she's shooting me a wink. Game store girl, I trying to pretend.
Okay, so then we go to A flat, or yeah, A flat. And then we end with the F over A again. We could call that an A diminished. So again, our chords here are going to be B flat, E flat, G flat, F, and in the same measure F over A. Then we repeat the B flat, E flat, G flat, A flat instead of the F. But then we end again with F over A, which you could make a solid argument that that should be an A diminished. Whenever I pick up the guitar, I'll decide whether all these were major or minor, what sort of sevenths and ninths and things I want to include. But let's for now grab these and see where they go again, because I'm sure they go again. I'll bet 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Rich, and I don't have a degree, but she only cares that down at the pencil place. She buys me a soda pop. She gets all my eardrums, and I never want the skin. I'm not rich. Rich, and I don't have a degree, but she only cares that I can't go home because I stubbed my toe. If I can't be with this woman, you can have this poster. When you see it, think of me. I'll think of you when you're all famous and you're on TV. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take it, and I don't have to try it all just to entice you. Here's the thing.
Bridge. Okay, so our next chorus is here.
She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. Here's
Then
the
we have a
thing.
bridge.
I really like you, and I don't have to try it all just
Same
to
as the
entice
intro.
you. Love, excite, bite. You could beat up Mike Tyson. I think in less than 5 years I can see you as my wife. But here in the present, nobody will treat you better. I'll go walking if you want. I would treat you like a queen, and we can both play on the Wii. And I'll cut back on pod because I think that you're hot. You can scream and you can squeeze me while we're playing BioShock. I'm not ripped, I'm not fit, but I'll always make you laugh. Competitive and geeky because you kick my ass at math. And surely I can promise that I won't treat you a jerk.
Oh, we may just end with it.
I'd like to visit you at work.
And a chorus. Okay, so it ends with a long bridge, takes the place of a verse, then we get a chorus out. Okay, so I better learn this chorus next. Okay, so our choruses is B flat, A flat, G, then G flat, A flat, walk up,
she buys me a sucker pop. She gets all my injunction and I never want this game to stop. Game store girl, I've got.
And then it goes up to the A. So the bass line. Let's get our 16th notes here.
I think I got no shot, but she's shooting me a wink. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pop. She gets all my injunction. I never want this game to stop. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pop. She gets all my injunction. I never want this game to stop. I'm not rich.
There we go. See how these overlap? We're just going to correct that real quick. Let's change this back to 1. And I don't think I did anything real dumb in here. Except, wow, that's really quiet.
Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pop. She gets all my injunction. I never want this game to stop. Game store girl, I've got a game store girl.
I think, let's, I don't want to change that. I think I just have some extra notes in there. Like I said, I'm going to delete this later anyway after I play it on actual bass.
Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pop. She gets all my injunction. I never want this game. I'm not rich, and I don't have a degree.
Okay, so we can take this now, copy it, and then we put it here. And do we do it twice? That's the next question, because it's times 2, but is it times 4 this time?
Here's
Nope,
the thing.
straight to the bridge.
I really like you, and I don't have to try it all just to entice you. Love, excite, bite. You can beat up Mike Tyson. I think in less than 5 years I can see you as my wife. But here in the present, nobody will treat you better. I'll go.
It's the good old F0 thing. I'm using a different controller today. It's only got 2 octaves, and oh, I don't want mod wheel. I'm not going to play that though. I mean, I will on bass, but I'm not going to here. Here I'm just going to go 8th notes. We're just going to go bum 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 bum, which is just B flat, A flat, G flat, then back up to A flat. With no additional walk-ups at the end that I'm aware of. Let's record this.
Here's the thing. I really like you.
You gotta get the rhythm right though. Bum bum bum.
Gets on my injunction. I never want this game to stop. Here's the thing. I really like you, and I don't have to try it all just to entice you. Love, excite, bite. You can beat up Mike Tyson. I think in less than 5 years I can see you as my wife. But here in the present, nobody will treat you better. I'll go walking if you want to, but you gotta wear my sweater. I won't boss you around. I won't talk about myself. I'm impressed by everything that you got hanging on the shelf. A nice and silly.
Why do I keep going up here? Why do I keep grabbing that? It's because when you're copying and pasting in the timeline, I could zoom in and look at that, or I could just say, no, I'm only doing whole notes. And then I don't have to be as careful with my aim.
Nice and silly guy, but I may not be your fantasy, but I would treat you like a queen of
I want to say one more of these. Oh, nope. Back to the chorus. That looks like the chorus. Do we do the chorus twice now? Yeah, kinda. Yeah. Let's delete those. These are all outside the bounds, so that if I extend it, they'll still be there. I love Cubase's non-destructive editing that way. Those notes still exist. They're still saved if I needed them, but I don't. So, okay, so that's nice. Now, here's the question: is do we modern electric guitars or do we great grandpa's guitars? I think we wanted an acoustic remake. So let's see how these chords sound on a nylon. I have them both out, or at least nearby, because I wasn't 100% sure what I'm going to use. I think what I should do for this when we release this track is I should use this notepad here and make the chord changes the album art. Sounds wonderful. Oh man. Be glad you're not hearing much of that yet. That sounds perfect. That's definitely an A. Definitely an A. Why though? Like, seriously, why is it like almost a half step down? I'm going to use one of these flimsy picks here. Let's move this microphone a little bit. There we go. And make sure everything's still good there. That's it. Okay, all right, let's get this plugged in here. See what kind of level we got. Oh, I killed it. Okay, so now what I need to do, I think... Is that all the lag? So, the first one of those you're hearing is it going into my interface into OBS. The second one is it coming out of Cubase. Let's see if we can tighten that up a little bit here. Devices, device setup. If we go to the control panel, we got, oh goodness, we've only got 8 milliseconds of delay. Well, okay. All right. I accidentally messed something up there. All right, let's find out the chord qualities here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to loop.
Girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She girl, I kinda.
Okay, so this may sound ever so slightly out of sync. What I can do is I can mute this over here. So you guys, you're not going to hear me talk over these. It looks like, we're not going to worry about sync yet. So the first chord is B minor 9.
Girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She
B flat minor 9, sorry.
Girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god. Girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females. Girl, I kinda know, got a name tagging pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females. Girl, I kinda. What I think of new additions of PS3.
Oh, I skipped a chord. Back over there.
Cause she's hella hot and she smiles back at me. Cause she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new. Cause she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me.
Nice chording there. I'm not sure who played guitar on this. They took advantage of some shared notes between the chords there. So that is a G flat major 7. And they stuck that 7 up on top. And the F is going to be major or 7.
she's hella hot, and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions to PS3. I don't know.
Yeah, and you could definitely make an argument for that being F and then A diminished. So it's an F7. It's an F over A or an A diminished 7. E flat minor 9 again, E flat minor 9 again, G flat major 7 again, and when we get to that A flat, what do we have there?
Work up on my courage, just cause she's at work and she's run ass for a living. I don't wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain, so I still wanna be a douchebag like a real life super.
Sounds major. Is that A flat major? A flat major. Not major 7 or anything, just plain A flat major. Then I feel like that one, the A diminished. Going from A flat to A diminished. So A flat, A diminished, that makes a lot of sense there.
Wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain, so I step back and let the other dudes try. And girl, I've got it.
Alright, so then we get here, we've got B flat. And it sounds like we modulate from B flat minor to B flat major. Maybe all major?
So girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pizza place. She buys me a soda pop. She gets on my.
Oh, that's wrong. It's G. I don't know if I'm gonna get to use this guitar or not. Sounds so good. You guys are hearing it twice. I'm gonna turn this off so you won't hear one.
So girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pizza place. She buys me a soda pop. She gets on my jokes and I never want this game to stop. So girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pizza place. She buys me a soda pop. She gets on my jokes and I never want this game to stop. I'm not rich.
Okay, so the chorus is B flat major, then A flat major, then G minor, and then the G flat, A flat are both major. And if you want to catch that extra note, if you want an extra chord in that last measure, you can do G flat, A flat, A diminished. I don't know if I care about that A diminished very much, because it's going to be an acoustic sort of a jam. Okay, so now we got to learn the bridge, which is similar to the chorus, but not exactly the same.
Here's the thing.
Okay, so now we're back to B flat minor. B flat minor 7 is going to work there. Then the A flat may or may not be an A flat.
Here's the thing. I really like you, and I don't have to try it all just to.
It's hanging on to those high notes. So if we're adding that F, it's an A flat with a 6 up on top of it. The 6 is optional, but if you want to hang on to those high notes, it's B flat minor, then A flat 6, then G flat. Let's find out what the quality is.
Love excite bike, you could beat up Mike Tyson. I think in less than 5. Love excite bike, you could beat up Mike.
And all of these have the 9 in them in the bridge, because the bass is doing octave, then 9. So they all have the 9, but it's coming up underneath.
Love, excite, bite, you could beat up Mike Tyson. I think in less than 5 years I could see you as my wife. But here in the present, nobody will. Here's the thing, I really like you, and I don't have to try it all just to entice you. Love, excite, bite, you could beat up Mike Tyson. I think in less than 5 years I could see you as my wife. But
yeah, the rest are just major. You have the G flat and the A flat. They get the 9 added onto them. But that's it. Okay, so now what I need to decide is how I'm going to approach this thing. Now that we have the chords, let's look at this. Hold this up here. These are your game store girl chords right there. I totally ripped up the bottom piece of that paper, but it doesn't matter. Chords are good. Okay, so
there's this girl I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtails. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females, because she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions to PS3. I don't know, kinda.
okay, so we get this. Flat. Third string intonation is just awful. I'm never going to play the open string. Guitar tip. Don't get obsessed with tuning your open strings when you're playing guitar, because if you get the open strings in tune and half of your other notes are out of tune, then, like, you know, what was the point of tuning to begin with? You want to make sure that the chords you're going to play are going to be in tune. So hear how flat that G is? I don't care even a little bit about how flat that G is. It just doesn't matter. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute myself talking over here so that you're going to hear the guitars.
There's this girl I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtails. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females, because she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions to PS3. I don't know, kinda cool, but I think that she's great. Trying to work up on my courage just to ask her. There's this girl I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females, because she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions to PS3. I don't know, kinda cool, but I think that she's great. Trying to work up on my courage just to ask her on a date, but it's weird cause she's at work and she's wearing nice for a living. I don't wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain, so I step back and let the other dudes try, and I try to pretend that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm knowing better, so I hide in the back and try to formulate a plan like I'm both Wiki and Zach. Should I go up and tell her I'm a legend on the internet, give her a name she won't forget, and I don't even know her yet? I'm not feeling snubby, matter of fact I'm feeling weak, cause I think I got no shot, but she's shooting me a wink. Game store. There's this girl I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females, because she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions to PS3. I don't know, kinda cool, but I think that she's great. Trying to work up on my courage just to ask her on a date, but it's weird cause she's at work and she's wearing nice for a living. I don't wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain, so I step back and let the other dudes try, and I try to pretend that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm knowing better, so I hide in the back and try to formulate a plan like I'm both Wiki and Zach. There's this girl I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females, because she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions to PS3. I don't know, kinda cool, but I think that she's great. Trying to work up on my courage just to ask her on a date, but it's weird cause she's at work and she's wearing nice for a living. I don't wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain, so I step back and let the other dudes try, and I try to pretend that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm knowing better, so I hide in the back and try to formulate a plan like I'm both Wiki and Zach. Should I go up? There's this girl I kinda know, got a name tag and pigtail. She doesn't seem to know that she's a god among females, because she's hella hot and she smiles back at me, asking me what I think of new additions to PS3. I don't know, kinda cool, but I think that she's great. Trying to work up on my courage just to ask her on a date, but it's weird cause she's at work and she's wearing nice for a living. I don't wanna be a douchebag like a real life supervillain, so I step back and let the other dudes try, and I try to pretend that I'm not the jealous type, but I'm knowing better, so I hide in the back and try to formulate a plan like I'm both Wiki and Zach. Should I go up and tell her I'm a legend on the internet, give her a name she won't forget, and I don't even know her yet? I'm not feeling snubby, matter of fact I'm feeling weak, cause I think I got no shot, but she's shooting me a wink. Game store girl. She gets on my eardrums and I never want the skin. I'm not rich and I don't have a degree, but she only cares. She gets on my eardrums and I never want the skin. I'm not rich and I don't have a degree, but she only cares that I'm a fan of TMNT and just a cartoon, cause she didn't like the movie. Says that she's a fan of Evil Dead, and so I say that's groovy, but please don't. She gets on my eardrums and I never want the skin. I'm not rich and I don't have a degree, but she only cares that I'm a fan of TMNT and just a cartoon, cause she didn't like the movie. Says that she's a fan of Evil Dead, and so I say that's groovy, but please don't tell her I ain't seen the flick. Says she doesn't like smokers, so I throw away the bit. Her manager, he tells me that I shouldn't stay in longer, but I do not give a damn about her needle neck employer. I can't go home cause I stubbed my toe. If I can't be with this woman, might as well just be alone. Still too rash, I invite her to my pad. We could beat up Cooper Troopers while I go to super bad. She smiles and she laughs and she pats me on my head. She says, sorry Cookie Belly, but I gotta go to bed. But you can have this poster when you see it, think of me. I'll think of you when you're all famous and you're on TV. Game store girl. She gets on my eardrums and I never want the skin. I'm not rich and I don't have a degree, but she only cares that I'm a fan of TMNT and just a cartoon, cause she didn't like the movie. Says that she's a fan of Evil Dead, and so I say that's groovy, but please don't tell her I ain't seen the flick. Says she doesn't like smokers, so I throw away the bit. Her man says that she's a fan of evil dead, and so I say that's groovy. But please don't tell her I ain't seen the flick. Says she doesn't like smokers, so I throw away the bag. Her manager, he tells me that I shouldn't stay in longer, but I do not give a damn about her needle neck employer. I can't go home cause I stubbed my toe. If I can't be with this woman, might as well just be alone. Still too rash, I invite her to my pad. We can beat up Cooper Troopers while I go to she gets on my eardrums and I never want this game. I'm not rich and I don't have a degree, but she only cares that I'm a fan of TMNT and just a cartoon, cause she didn't like the movie. Says that she's a fan of Evil Dead, and so I say that's groovy. But please don't tell her I ain't seen the flick. Says she doesn't like smokers, so I throw away the bag. Her manager, he tells me that I shouldn't stay in longer, but I do not give a damn about her needle neck employer. I can't go home cause I stubbed my toe. If I can't be with this woman, might as well just be alone. Still too rash, I invite her to my pad. We could beat up Cooper Troopers while I go to super bad. She smiles and she laughs and she pats me on my head. She says, sorry Cookie Belly, but I gotta go to bed. But you can have this poster when you see it, think of me. I'll think of you when you're all famous and you're on TV. Game store girl. I got no shot, but she's shooting me a wink. Game store girl, I got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pie. She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. Game store girl, I got a crush. Let me I got no shot, but she's shooting me a wink. Game store girl, I got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I got no shot, but she's shooting me a wink. Game store girl, I got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount. I got no shot, but she's shooting me a wink. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pie. She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pie. She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. I'm not rich. I got no shot, but she's shooting me a wink. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pie. She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pie. She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. I'm not rich. Give you when you're all famous and you're on TV. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil. Give you when you're all famous and you're on TV. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Give you when you're all famous and you're on TV. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pie. She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pie. She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. Here's a give you when you're all famous and you're on TV. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pie. She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys give you when you're all famous and you're on TV. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pie. She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount at the pencil place. She buys me a sucker pie. She gets on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. Here's a Here's the thing, it's on my eardrums and I never want this game to stop. Here's the thing, I really like you, and I don't have to try it all just to entice you. Love, excite, bite, you could beat up Mike Tyson. I think in less than 5 years I can see you as my wife. But here in the present, nobody will treat you better. I'll go walking if you want to, but you gotta wear my sweater. I won't boss you around, I won't talk about myself. I'm impressed by everything that you got hanging on the shelf. A nice and silly stop. Here's the thing, I really like you, and I don't have to try it all. Here's the thing, I really like you, and I don't have to try it all just to entice you. Love, excite, bite, you could beat up Mike Tyson. I think in less than 5 years I can see you as my wife. But here in the present, nobody will treat you better. I'll go walking if you want to, but you gotta wear my sweater. I won't boss you around, I won't talk about myself. I'm impressed by everything that you got hanging on the shelf. A nice and silly guy, but I may not be your fantasy. But I would treat you like a queen, and we can both play on the Wii. And I'll cut back on pod, cause I think that you're hot. You can scream and you can squeeze me while we're playing Bioshock. I'm not ripped, I'm not fit, but I'll always make you laugh. Competitive and geeky, cause you kick my ass at math. And surely I can promise that I won't treat you a jerk. Let me know when you're on break, I'd like to visit you at work. Game so good. Here's the thing, I really like you, and I don't have to try it all just to entice you. Love, excite, bite, you can beat up Mike Tyson. I think in less than 5 years I can see you as my wife. But here in the present, nobody will treat you better. I'll go walking if you want to, but you gotta wear my sweater. I won't boss you around, I won't talk about myself. I'm impressed by everything that you got hanging on the shelf. A nice and silly guy, but I may not be your fantasy. But I would treat you like a queen, and we can both play on the Wii. And I'll cut back on pod, cause I think that you're hot. You can scream and you can squeeze me while we're playing Bioshock. I'm not ripped, I'm not fit, but I'll always make you laugh. Competitive and geeky, cause you kick my ass at math. And surely I can promise that I won't treat you a jerk. Let me know when you're on break, I'd like to visit you at work. Game so when you're on break, I'd like
Okay, there's my voice back. And those are the guitars for Game Store Girl. Later on, I'll add some other instruments. Now let's take a look at this real quick. Turn that left, this one right, turn this one left, turn this one right. Why didn't I do that front to back? That might be a question you would have, right? Because it's easier to do all of the verses and then all of the choruses and then the bridge. And it's not really just a matter of it being easier mechanically. It's you can ensure that you're doing something different. If you record verse 1, then you record a chorus, and then you go to verse 2, then you do a chorus. You're alternating parts, and you may or may not really be cognizant of what you're doing with each part. If you record verse 1, and then you double it, you're probably going to nail pretty close to the same thing on both performances. Then you go back and you do verse 2, and you double it, and you're going to do something different than you did on verse 1, hopefully. Then you go, if there was a verse 3, you would do that. Then you come back and hit the choruses. Now you may, depending on the chorus and what the song is, you may just copy paste your chorus. In this case, I wanted to have the whole thing, is all individual parts. There's no copy paste. Everything has been played. And you saw sort of the methodology that I use, where I use one track to record, and then I drag the part down, then record, then drag down. And I do that over a series of tracks. It makes it easier to keep your flow going, so that you don't have to stop in the middle of what you're doing. So anyway, let's listen to this last chorus here.
When you're on break, I like to visit you at work. Game store girl, I've got a crush. Let me take you to the food court. I'll buy you lunch. Discount.
I did a pretty good job on getting those at the same time, considering I didn't even think about it. I shut off the click. This one's a little early. This one's a little earlier still. I'll just have to make sure all the other instruments hit at that time too. So anyway, that is Game Store Girl. I am out of time for today, but we did successfully learn a song and then record guitars for a song, all in just over an hour or so. If I already knew the song, I'd probably have the bass and drums down by now. But that's what happens when you're learning on the fly. So let's do, you see the blue wheel, that's me compulsively Control S for save. So anyway, that's all the time we got for today. I am Ailsean from the Grammar Club. Please, if you can, comment, like, visit our Patreon, patreon.com/thegrammarclub. We would love that. If you throw dollars at us, we will throw music at you. A couple songs a week usually, depending on how many dollars you throw at us. So anyway, I am Ailsean from the Grammar Club, and I will see you later.